again, that wouldn't be a very good picture in mono. This one I really love. I hope that's coming out okay for you.
Yeah.
And this is something I didn't even know I had. Denise found this in an uncut roll of film, and we put it together and scanned it and viewed it for the first time. But here's Freddie, of course, being very natural, which you don't often see, because Freddie was actually very shy. So if there was a photographer in the room, he would kind of purse up a bit, you know, he'd get a little bit tense, and his lips would kind of purse up, you know. I'm not going to say he pulled his tummy in like I would, but he didn't have much of a tummy. But you know, he was very conscious of a photography, and he'd never be natural. But with me, I'm always clicking. I've always got my little stereo camera out, and he doesn't care. So he's completely lost in his makeup. He's being helped with his makeup here by a makeup lady, and I just love that picture because it's just so kind of innocent and unexpected. I think I was happy to find that. Yeah, he's Roger doing a similar thing, except he's shaving. He doesn't do that these days, you know. He's kind of Father Christmas all the year round. Here he was clean shaven. He was, apparently he was very attractive to girls. Apparently he still is. There's John in an aeroplane somewhere, I don't know where, but you know, again, very young and innocent. And I like that one. That took a bit of rescuing because that was taken with the beam splitter. What happens with the beam splitter is the two pictures get a bit jumbled up in the middle, so you have to extricate and do a bit of restoration. But that was worth the trouble, I think. This is Popstar Returns Home and Makes Good. With my mum, and I just got my first decent car, which is a Jaguar XJS, and my dad was very taken. I mean, I don't know if some of you know this, but my dad was very much against the whole thing. He thought I should get a proper job and not go around the world as a rock star. But when I came back with this, he was like, well, I guess it's too bad, you know. And, more about that later, maybe. But here I am, and it was, yeah, my mum was very proud. This is my mum's front garden. This road this is Feltham, Middlesex. And it was a very nice little kind of rural suburb in those days. But these days, all these gardens are gone, and this is just like a giant car park. So the world changed. But my mum took such a pride in her front garden with the roses and everything. And she took a pride in her son having done well. Okay. This is Madison Square Garden. This is like a dream for us to play. You know, for boys in England, you hear about, well, basically boxing. From world title fights in Madison Square Garden. You don't even dream that one day you would play there and it would be full and they'd all be screaming and shouting and stamping and clapping. In case you're wondering that this looks a bit strange, there's a bit of what we call retinal rivalry in this. You know, some things look a little odd, like around here. That's because this was taken sequentially, not with a stereo camera, but with one camera, the old-fashioned way, taking it one picture, moving it to the right and taking another one. In the time that I've moved the camera, lots of stuff has happened. People have moved around, they've moved boxes and chairs and things. But I rather like this. They're imperfections, but in a sense they make this still stereograph into a little movie. You can see what's happening all over the place, people are moving. And this goes way back to the 1850s. One of my great heroes, T.R. Williams, did a very similar thing. He had a stereo camera, but he chose to do sequential pictures because you could see little movements. You could see that people had moved a bit, the trees had moved in the breeze, all sorts of stuff. So you get much more information in a way. Some people find this irritating, but I kind of enjoy it. And they call it retinal rivalry. You know, your two eyes are telling you two slightly different stories, a little bit too much different for comfort. New York again, and I've flown my mum and dad out there. And you can see a Statue of Liberty, which we visited. And this is Wally, who was my bodyguard at the time, and he came last night to the signing. But he looks about half that size now, laterally. Vertically, he's the same size, but laterally, he's very much reduced and very healthy, I'm happy to say. But this was a big moment for me, flying my mum and dad out. I don't want to go into it too much, but my dad had been very much against me being a rock star, as I told you. And he hardly spoke to me for a year and a half or so, which drove my mum to distraction. Very hard, you know, families are difficult, but I flew them all out for us to see us play in Madison Square Garden. And put him up in a nice hotel and said, order room service, Dad, we're rich, which we weren't. And he came to the show, and afterwards he came backstage and he shook my hand, as my dad was not a very tactile person, but he would shake my hand, and he said, "Okay, I get it now." He said, "I can see what you're doing now. It's great." So, funny thing is, my dad helped me make the guitar. 2 years of work, and also he would draw little pictures, little maps of us going around touring. So he was secretly into it. He just couldn't accept the fact that I'd given up my proper job. Now finally we're touring in summer, and this is wonderful New Orleans, and so much magic happened in New Orleans. I can't even begin to tell you, that would be a book in itself, but here we are, and then Marie Antoinette outside, going off to do secret things. It's Roger with his girlfriend at the time, Dominique, and we just were enjoying the touring life massively by that time and getting a great response. And again, it's interesting for me to see Roger as he looks then. It's just it's like he still is that way, and the years didn't happen. Here's Freddie again in the same location with a bunch of people. And he's got his Polaroid pictures, which he loves, and he's sharing them with everyone. He's got Roger and Dominic behind him, and various people who were all close to us at the time. Dane is our wardrobe guy here, Dane. And somebody's taking a picture of me here with Freddie's Polaroid, but I don't have the picture. This one I like a lot. It's Freddie and Mary in a little jet that we were using to go around. I think it was a long time before we could afford a private jet, but this is like middle period now. And Mary, I don't know how much you know about Freddie, but he went on an amazing journey in so many ways. But Mary, the girl he fell in love with in the very early days, was really basically with him to the end of his life, and still very close, and she's still around. And in spite of the fact that sexually Freddie was on a completely different journey, they both dealt with it and remained incredibly close. So it's a lovely story, really, some of which you will see in the forthcoming film. I'm not allowed to say too much about it, but it is in process, and we start shooting very soon, and it's tabled for release Christmas Day 2018. Yes. And we spent 8 years putting the film together, or putting the team together to make the film, and getting the script right and choosing the right people. I think we have the right script now and the right team. I have great confidence. And Roger and I have this philosophy that we were going to put it together, but then we would step back and trust our team to make the movie. So that's kind of what we're doing now. I've already met the guy who's going to play me, who's wonderful. He's called Gwillem Lee. And he's a good, real Shakespearean actor, and very sensitive guy, I think. I'm very happy to have somebody. Strange feeling having somebody portray yourself on the screen. I mean, it's going to be really weird, and I hope it's not going to be too disturbing, but I have great trust in the team, as I say. And the guy who's going to play Freddie is the guy, you probably know him as Mr. Robot. Yeah. And he's also great. I have absolute confidence that he's going to make a great job of it, and I think everyone will immediately just see him as Freddie. What's his name? I've got a mental block now.
Rami Malek?
Rami Malek, yeah. And he's great. We've spent some time with him, and he's great. It's almost like being with Freddie. He's already in the part, which is so wonderful. This is what real actors do. They're not acting, they're actually being it. They're believing that they are the part. So that's going to be great. Again, good stereo composition here from me, I thought. You see Deaky beaming here, and Paul French in the back. Paul French also featured in the film. Well, I'm not going to say any more about that. Now here we have Freddie doing his thing. He just loved taking these pictures and giving them away, but I don't remember getting that picture. Look at it there, you can see it coming out. But, maybe we'll find it someday. But I love this, because this is Freddie so typically just pausing in the middle of the street and doing his thing. And that looks great in the book, I think. I'm so happy to find that. Here we are, randomly, somewhere in Scandinavia, very near Elsinore, Hamlet's castle, and just between gigs. And sometimes there was a romantic way to travel between gigs, as opposed to the normal ways. It's the ferry. Now here's Freddie, who's very, very happy with his propeller. He likes it, and he loves this plane so much that he wants to actually be the pilot. So Isn't that nice? We're saying too much, but I love what stereo does to things like the reflections in the glass. Because if you close one eye, it's okay. It's a nice picture. But with two eyes, you get the sense that the glass is there and he's inside, and the whole sort of solidity of the whole thing. And he looks so real and like he's having fun, which he was. And here he is from the second. We actually did dissuade him from being a pirate, but he was happy to do it for a minute. Again, very unguarded, he's just having fun, enjoying himself. Wow. So this is me kind of bored in a hotel room, because when you're in a hotel room night after night, what are you going to take pictures of? In the end, you end up taking pictures of yourself. And selfies are very, very popular these days, aren't they? I think I was an early selfie person. See, there's no delayed action shutter on these cameras. They're very primitive, but what I got was a thing called a cunctator, which is a little mechanical clockwork device that you plug into the top of the camera, and you wind it up and it goes zzz, and when it gets to the end it takes the picture. So this was a delayed action shutter, and I was just testing it out in the studio and enjoying myself. And this is another way of taking selfies in a bathroom mirror. So it's very effective. And also you can see the camera that I'm using, which is that very stereo realist that you saw earlier on. And I'm propping it up here, I look kind of strange in that picture. I never quite figured out what happened. But I've included it for the sake of documentary reasons. This is Amsterdam. We're in the Sonesta Hotel, which is right on one of the canals. And Freddie here was Printer, and Joe Finelli, who became Freddie's private chef for a while. I was very close to him for a long time. Great guy. And again, I love the feeling of being there. You can kind of sniff the canal from here. Here we are out adventuring in a woodland someplace.